when I come back to practice like this, and when I keep it as consistent as I can, it grounds me. It grounds me in my business. It helps me get clear on my actions and my expressions. And it's what guides me in all of my decision making and my big life choices, because I know I can trust me. And I know I can trust that part of myself that knows. We are turning your inspiration into aligned action. I'm Barcy, your host. Now is your time to answer the call, to let it be easy, and to trust what feels good. I'll be sharing my framework from my signature intuitive creators method to guide you back to your most empowered and aligned self, your boss goddess self. Are you ready to do it differently? Hi, and welcome back to the Boss Goddess podcast. I'm Barcy, your host. And this episode marks the middle of our newly rebranded season, which happens to be season 11, which to me is a magic number. And I'm wondering, are you one of those people who sees 1111 all of the time? Because I'm definitely one of those people. And to me, that always feels like a confirmation that I'm on the right path. And speaking of being on the right path, if you've listened to all of the episodes in season 11 up to this point, then you may have noticed that we are very much focusing on figuring out how to know when to create a change, when to shift your path, and how to take steps towards the new thing, and how to know what steps to actually take. In other words, we've been focusing on that inner awareness stage and that observation stage, and how developing an intuitive practice can help guide you to the decisions and action steps that are uniquely right for you. So much of this stage is embedded in permission, the allowing of the awareness, the allowing for the observer brain to take over, allowing for us to be in that inner journey place, allowing for the reality of how we're experiencing what we've created thus far to be acknowledged, and being real about what we feel about that, what we've created, how that feels to us now, allowing for unconscious beliefs to surface, all of that so we can begin to create new choices that better align with who we are and what we want. This allowing is the permission, and the only person who can ever grant you that kind of permission will only and always be you. You are your only gatekeeper. And when I say that, I do want to clarify that this does not mean that there aren't hurdles and circumstances and barriers that exist outside of ourselves who gatekeep and who create conflict or obstacles for us. But I want to invite you to consider those external things, the stuff you'll actually never have control over. Not influence, by the way. We do have the power of influence, but I'm talking about true control. Like, we don't have control of anything but ourselves. I want to invite you to consider those things as one option. The things outside of ourselves, those gatekeepers, those circumstances, I want you to consider those things as just one option, one avenue, one path, and probably a linear one to your goals and dreams. Those are only one way to get what you want, which is to say that when you connect with the core essence of what it is that you want, that there are several ways to experience it and express it. So right now, I want you to grant yourself permission to lean into that belief, to lean into the very real fact that you get to create your own pathways that will lead you to your goals and dreams. Because if they are your goals and dreams and you connect with them from that core place, you connect with the essence of those goals and dreams, then I'm here to tell you that these dreams would not be yours if they weren't meant for you. And I'm not talking about fate or destiny. I'm talking about purpose. We all have purpose, we all have core values, and we all have something that we deeply or innately connect with at our essence. Your purpose can be expressed several ways. Your dreams, the ones that are connected at their essence to this very innate part of who you are, and that purpose, that part that is really natural to you, is why I say that your dreams are then meant for you to express, because they are so connected to the natural you. And the way you want to express them most likely changes as you evolve. It may not be part of how you earn your money right now, or it may feel like it really wants to be part of how you make money. And this might be because you're feeling maybe inauthentic in what you're doing now, or you're feeling not as aligned or connected with your authentic self as you'd like to be on a daily basis. And sometimes the way we work gets in the way of that. We're not expressing who we naturally are as much as we need to in order to feel fulfilled in our day. So for example, maybe expressing your creativity on your terms is becoming more necessary. Maybe expressing your spiritual side is becoming more necessary for you to feel balanced and in harmony with your life. Maybe expressing through using your voice feels the most natural to you, and you're wishing you could integrate that more into your daily life and feel that reciprocity from that effort, which oftentimes is why we think of incorporating things that we love and our purpose and our joy into business, because we want to feel that exchange and we want to feel it in a fulfilling way. The other reason is we want to spend less time doing the things that we feel drain us. So if we add the things that we care about and that comes from this ease place, that inner place, that part that feels really natural to us, suddenly your day is not so draining, not so painful, not so fill in the blank. So if you allow yourself the permission to allow those thoughts and feelings in, you'll begin to open up a path of action to follow that will lead you and guide you towards those things. But feeling into those inner desires is part of that intuitive connection that we've been talking about a lot through all of these episodes. And often there's a step of awareness or permission to come into around that painful thing first. We might not know what we're missing because we don't realize how much pain we're actually in. We don't realize how off or misaligned it is. So often it's the painful symptoms that need our attention first, or that does get our attention first, because it's easier to see a problem sometimes than when things are just kind of going in a mediocre way, but we're not necessarily feeling fulfilled. That's sometimes a little harder to pick up on. So if that's you as well, again, permission to kind of take a look at that and ask yourself how that is going for you. If there isn't something more for you on the other side, Kara Batar's episode, which was the 2 episodes ago before this one, talks a lot about that. But we need to grant ourselves the permission that is required to let in that awareness about our situation, about the painful symptom, about the mediocre symptom, about the missing thing, to start making the connections between what is missing from our expression and our actions that might be creating that pain or that lack of fill in the blank. But in order to get to the awareness, in order to really get into this realization, the first step is permission. Permission to go there, permission to see it, permission to see that pain, permission to see that the pain is not your natural state, that the mediocre is not your natural expression, permission to begin to see that you don't actually need to create a life of sacrifices to be successful in business, in life, in wherever. The successes we want, the money, the time to spend with loved ones, or to have more creativity, the energy to enjoy our lives. This is all better experienced when we realize we can create these possibilities without the painfulness and the sacrifice. The simple way of doing this is by inviting in more of who we naturally are, how we naturally want to express ourselves, and realign our efforts to actions and expressions that incorporate our natural uniqueness, the truth of who we are. That might mean simple things like not spending as much time on a computer, for example. To me, that becomes really painful physically. I lose all my energy at a really early part of the day if I spend too much energy or time on a computer. So that's something I can really hone in on and identify. It might be simple things like this. This is a great way to just start to notice. Or it might mean moving away from a corporate job altogether. Or moving away from freelancing and hiring some contractors, let's say, for the things that drain you. Or it might mean restructuring your week to give yourself Fridays off, let's say. It can be these little things that you can start to wonder about. Wondering and curiosity is a gateway to awareness, but allowing yourself the permission to be curious, to ask the questions, to consider, is this working? It starts with the permission. So in other words, what small, tiny change can you make to start honoring this? Where can you grant yourself that permission to begin to acknowledge what might not be working? Where do you need to look first? What might you want to explore? So here are a few questions. These can be journal questions. What might you want to explore, as in your creative expression, something you're interested in, something you'd like to do, a new habit, anything. The next question, if no one were watching and no one judged you, what would you want to do? What would you do? If no one were watching and no one judged you, what would you do? How would your day look? How would you spend your time? What would your day be like? That's a great journal exercise. Write down from the second you wake up, including what time, like would you sleep in? Would you get up earlier? And every activity you would do from there. What's your perfect day? If no one was watching, no one judged you, and it had no impact on your ability to survive, right? What would your day look like? How would you spend your time? And just allow yourself permission to really imagine what that ideal day would be like. Even getting into that headspace with as much freedom as I'm asking you to do can require a lot of permission. So firstly, know that that's normal. If that's hard to do right now, if that's a hard place to go in your imagination, you're normal. These things cycle. Sometimes it's really easy to go there, and sometimes it's really, really hard because our life looks so different than what we had imagined for ourselves, than what we thought we would be doing, or we're just in a really tight part, a really constricted part in our life cycle. So those are all things that can be happening. But understanding what the free energy, space, time, money, all of that looks like, what the little details in your day look like when you're living in your best version, that's important for us to know. That's important for us to understand what that feels like, because then you can start adding some of those things into your day. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. So those questions are really great permission activating questions. And again, I would recommend journaling on these now and honestly every so often, because like I said, sometimes we're just in a constricted cycle and it's hard to get back to what it is that we really want. So just coming back to the idea and practicing going as far into our joy as we can through a journal exercise can be a great way to bring us back to where we want to go, who we are now, and what we can incorporate, and putting us back into the control seat. And this will help you check in on whether you're honoring your expression, honoring your energy, honoring your creativity and purpose at any given moment. And if there are any habits or tweaks that you can make to begin to let go of something that isn't serving the truth of who you are, or incorporate something that might serve that better. The permission is required if you want to grow towards a life and business that honors who you are at your core. And effort will always be required. Effort. But sacrifice isn't required. If you give something up for something else that you choose to include in your life, right? Sacrifice means giving something up. What if we could acknowledge that this is just an evolution of what we have decided serves us in this moment for either the bigger picture or a greater goal, or even just now in the moment we're in. So what if we reframe how we're thinking about these decisions and releasing the idea of sacrificing and instead inviting in the idea of choosing, and then putting our effort and our energy into the things that we are choosing. So the way that I come back to this for myself in a consistent way is by attunement to my own energy. So I've been talking about self-attunement here and there throughout these new episodes, and at its core, what that means is it's just a way to come back to you, to your energy, connect with the truth of who you are, the core energy of who you really are at your core, and gently coming into awareness of the things that are no longer serving you, including your unconscious beliefs. So when I start my day with this, it sets me up for so much clarity and so much less anxiety. And I notice when I skip it, because I can tell when I get really into my head, everything becomes a conscious brain exercise, and it feels really hard. It drains my energy. Things start to feel out of my control. And I just need to come back to my truth, the core of who I am, the person who knows where I'm going and what I'm doing and what I need to do next. When I come back to practice like this, and when I keep it as consistent as I can, it grounds me. It grounds me in my business. It helps me get clear on my actions and in my expressions. And it's what guides me in all of my decision-making and my big life choices, because I know I can trust me. And I know I can trust that part of myself that knows why I'm here, what I'm doing, what brings me joy, that my joy is trustable, that if it feels good, it's a good move. But sometimes if I don't ground myself first, it's harder for me to tell what feels good, what doesn't feel good, if this is a good decision or not, because I'm not feeling into the energy of it. I'm just trying to think about it. And when I'm just thinking about it, I drain my energy and I go insane. And I'm a thinker. So coming back to my grounding practice, my self-attunement practice, really reminds me that I am in control, that I do get to make the choices, and that I can change those choices if I continue to stay in the awareness and the reflection, and I give myself permission to be consistent. So this is what I want to offer you. This is why I'm talking about it so much, because it really does change the experience that you have and the way you make decisions, the way you show up, and what you decide to do in your business, in your life, what you're walking towards and what you can release. It gives you that confidence and trust to know that your wisdom is guiding you. And if this is something that you want to try or incorporate, then I've packaged it as an audio course. The practice itself, you can just tune in and drop into it. And there's journal exercises and tools in there for you. So you can just find the link in the show notes, and you can incorporate it and see if it works for you, or see if there's something in there that resonates, and you can pull out a piece that works for you and sort of use it in the ways that makes the most sense for you. But no matter what practice you decide to incorporate, no matter what you decide to do to come back and discover this energy and be in your permission and be in your awareness and decide how you're going to tap into your authenticity, however you decide to incorporate a practice in order to do that, the one thing I want you to understand from today's episode is that you do have everything you need. It's safe to trust yourself. It's safe to trust the good feelings. It's safe to trust those dreams. And only you can grant yourself the permission that you need to take the steps to see where things aren't serving you, and to begin to understand that when you invite more of what you love to the table, your joy and what you love, it all gets to be easier. Till next time, bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Boss Goddess podcast. And if you're taking steps towards a more joyful or authentic version of your business, or creating a business to reflect more of your authentic self, then you'll want the support of my audio course. It's now called Permission Granted: Stop Sacrificing for Success and Start Unlocking Your Unique Path of Genius. And it is now only $37. And now you can also preview the first module of my audio course for free. Just click the link in the show notes to access your free preview right away or to buy the audio course for just $37.